Good morning to one and all present in the class, my dear students. Let's study or let's revise what we have studied into the last period and then we can move forward. So, in the last period, we have studied about the reactivity of these p block elements. Reactivity of p block elements towards the hydrogen, or we have started studying about their hydrides. So let us study the reactivity towards hydrides. All the elements of group 15 forms the hydrides, and these hydrides, my dear students, of the type EH3. So the various hydrides that we may have, they may be, NH3. The various hydrides that we can produce, my dear students, they are NH3 or PH3. You can see them. These are the hydrides that we can have: NH3, PS3, ASH3, SBH3, and BIS3. So these are the various types of hydrides that we can see here. These hydrides, my dear students, we are going to study about these hydrides. So first, let us look into the stability of hydrides. The stability of hydrides is in the order of decreasing. So ammonia is being the most stable, then PH3, then ASH3, then SBH3, and then BIS3. Now, why this ammonia is more stable? So that is what we can understand using its value of bond dissociation enthalpy. The bond dissociation enthalpy of ammonia is 389 kilojoule per mole, and thus it is difficult to break the bonds of ammonia, and that is why it is considered to be the more stable. Same way, my dear students, even we can understand the stability as we go down the group, the stability decreases because bond dissociation enthalpy decreases. Now the question arises, why BiH3 is strongest reducing agent among all the hydrides? So this is the in-text question. For that we need to understand about the reducing character, dear students. So let us study about the reducing character. Let's pay attention about the reducing character. You can see that the order of the reducing character is ammonia is less than PS3 is less than ASH3 is less than SBH3 and is less than BIS3. So as you go down the group, the reducing character increases. Ammonia cannot easily release H due to high bond dissociation enthalpy. We have just seen that the bond dissociation enthalpy in ammonia is very high, so it is not easy to remove, or it is not easy to break the nitrogen-nitrogen bond. But due to low bond dissociation enthalpy, BiS3 can easily release hydrogen. So BiS3, due to very low dissociation enthalpy, it can easily release hydrogen to reduce the other substances. Thus, my dear students, NH3 is a mild reducing agent. Our ammonia NH3 is a mild reducing agent, while BiS3 is a strong reducing agent. And that is how we can say that BiS3 is a strong reducing agent. So it's easy for you to understand. Now we want to study about the order of basicity. As we go down the group, the basic character decreases. So ammonia is the most basic, whereas BiS3 is the least basic. This order of basic character, apart from that, we can look into the bond angle character. So bond angle in ammonia is 107.8 degree, whereas in PS3 it is 93.6 degree, in ASH3 it is 91.8 degree, in SPH3 it is 91.3 degree. Thus we can easily understand that as we go down the group, the bond angle of hydrides also decreases. So it is interesting to study about the bond angle even. Basic character depends upon the availability of the lone pair on the central atom. So now we have just discussed about the basic character, but we should know that basic character depends upon the availability of the lone pairs on the central atom. So let us study why the basic character changes in that particular accordance as we have seen into the previous discussion. So while going down the group, my dear students, bond angle decreases and basic character also decreases. So what is the reason? Why going down the group bond angle decreases? Why going down the group basic character decreases? That is what we want to study. To study that, please pay attention to this figure, my dear students, that in this figure I have shown you the hydrides of both nitrogen as well as phosphorus. In the when we look into the size of the nitrogen, the size of nitrogen is small, whereas the size of phosphorus is bigger as compared to the nitrogen. In nitrogen or in NH3 as well as in PS3, there are 3 NH bond. In PS3 also there are 3 PH bond. Apart from that, both nitrogen and phosphorus have the lone pair available on them. So you can see that 2 electrons are available. Here, my dear students, there are 2 type of repulsion takes place. One is known as the lone pair bond pair repulsion. But you can see that, my dear students, the electrons are also available here. And this bond pair and bond pair can also have repulsion. So, my dear students, we even have bond pair repulsion. Now, if we look into the hybridization in ammonia, it is sp3 hybridization. So, bond angle should be 109 degree, 109.5 degree. That is what we can say. The bond angle should be 109.5 degree. This bond angle is decreased to 107.8 degree by this lone pair bond pair repulsion. So we know that, my dear students, that lone pair bond pair repulsion is greater than the bond pair repulsion, and due to that, this bond angle, which was 109.5 degree, that has been reduced to 107.8 degree. But due to the small size of nitrogen, my dear students, due to the small size of nitrogen, what happens is bond pair repulsion also working, and due to that, this bond pair, that is the bond pair of one nitrogen hydrogen and another nitrogen hydrogen, they cannot come closer than this. They cannot come closer than 107.8 degree angle. So this bond pair, they cannot come closer than this. But you can see that the size of phosphorus is bigger. So due to this lone pair repulsion between the lone pair and bond pair of phosphorus hydrogen bond, as they have got more space to settle down, this bond angle into the PS3 can be lowered, and it can be lowered to 93.6 degree. So please remember, my dear students, that as nitrogen has got smaller size, there are not much space that these 3 nitrogen hydrogen bond can come closer due to the bond pair repulsion. They can maximum come closer to the angle where they can have the angle of 107.8 degree. But phosphorus is bigger in size, and that is why more space is available. Due to availability of the more space, the angle between them can be lowered to greater extent, because the distance here for hydrogen that can be not, or that can be maintained, but this angle can be reduced, and this due to the lone pair repulsion, due to the bigger size of phosphorus, this bond angle can be reduced to 93.6 degree due to the bigger size of phosphorus. And thus, having bigger size, the effective lone pair repulsion can reduce the bond angle up to 93.6 degree from 109.5 degree. But in case of NH3, the nitrogen has got smaller size, and due to smaller size, this angle from 109.5 degree cannot be reduced more than 107.8 degree. And thus, let us read the text. Compared to phosphorus, nitrogen is small in size. When lone pair repulsion takes place, lone pair on nitrogen, due to small size of nitrogen, 2 NH and NHH bond angle can be decreased from 109.5 degree to 107.8 degree, my dear students. But due to big size of phosphorus, lone pair repulsion cause the bond angle to be reduced from 109 degree, 109.5 degree to 93.6 degree. Due to the small size of nitrogen, and big angle H and H, the availability of lone pair is more as compared to PH3. So my dear students, we have seen that in NH3 the bond angle is little bigger. At the same time, nitrogen is also smaller in size. So nitrogen is smaller in size, and H and H bond angle is 107.8 degree. Due to small size and this bigger angle, the availability of lone pair on nitrogen is found to be more as compared to the big size of phosphorus and bigger HPH angle. The availability of lone pair is less in case of PH3, and thus the NH3 is more basic than PH3. Once again, due to the small size of N and bigger H and H angle, the availability of lone pair on nitrogen is more. But due to the bigger size of phosphorus and smaller angle HPN, the availability of lone pair on phosphorus is less as compared to the ammonia or nitrogen present in ammonia, and thus ammonia is more basic than PH3. So this is how, my dear students, we can explain the reason for the smaller bond angle in PH3 as well as lesser basic character of PH3. Order of bond length, my dear students. Now we are going to study the bond length for pH and bond length of NH. So as we go down the group, my dear students, the order of bond length changes, and you can see that the order of bond length NH3 is less than PH3, PH3 is less than ASH3, and ASH3 is less than SbH3. So HbH3 has got the longest bond. You can see that bond length is also expressed into the picometer. So in ammonia it is 101.7 picometer, in PH3 it is 141.9 picometer, in ASH3 it is 151.9 picometer, and in SbH3 the bond length is 170.7 picometer. So as you go down the group, the bond length increases, my dear students. Please remember well. Then, my dear students, we want to study the order of melting point. So as you go down the group, the melting point actually increases. But in the highest melting point is there with the ammonia, which is the first element hydride. This is what it is due to the hydrogen bonding possible in ammonia. So as ammonia can form the hydrogen bonding, whereas PH3, ASH3 and SbH3 cannot form the hydrogen bond. The boiling and melting point, especially here melting point of ammonia is higher than all the other hydrides of this group 15. Due to the hydrogen bond possible in ammonia, it has highest melting point. Now when we look into the boiling point, my dear students, we come to know about the order of boiling point. You can see that the boiling point of ammonia is greater than the ASH3 and PH3, but boiling point of ammonia is less than the SbH3 and BiH3. You can see that I have written even their boiling points. Boiling point of PH3 is 185.5 Kelvin. For ASH3 it is 210.6 Kelvin. In ammonia the boiling point is 238.5 Kelvin. In antimony hydride it is 254.6 Kelvin, but in bismuth hydride it is 290 Kelvin. So this is how you can understand the order of boiling point. Remember that the boiling point of ammonia is more than the boiling point of PH3 and ASH3, but less than the hydrides of antimony and bismuth. Now, dear students, we have studied about the reactivity towards hydrogen. Let us study about the reactivity towards oxygen. These elements mean elements of group number 15, which are nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, and bismuth. These elements react to form the series of halides. So please remember that you can have even EX3 and EX5. So you can have two type of halides, EX3 and EX5. Nitrogen does not form pentahalides. So NCl3, NCl5 or NX5 is not possible. Due to the non-availability of d orbitals in its valence shell, so the valence of nitrogen remains up to 4, and that is why 5 valency is not possible in nitrogen, and due to the unavailability of vacant d orbital, nitrogen cannot form NH5 or NCl5. Thus, please remember, my dear students, that NCl5 is not possible. Same way, my dear students, we can study about the halides of other element too. So let us look into the other variety. Why pentahalides are more covalent than trihalides? We have seen that this type of compounds make trihalides EX3 and pentahalide EX5. These pentahalides EX5s are found to be more covalent than trihalides. What is the reason? Let us answer this question. In pentahalide EX5, the element E exists as a E plus 5 oxidation state which has more charge density. So the charge density is charge divided by volume, my dear students, as compared to E plus 3. So if you compare, for E plus 3, my dear student, the charge is plus 3 divided by volume. And for E plus 5, the charge is plus 5 divided by volume. Now, my dear students, as we have two values, plus 3 divided by volume, plus 5 divided by volume, it is easy to understand that plus 5 divided by volume is greater than plus 3 divided by volume. And that is why the charge on E plus 5 is more than the charge on E plus 3. According to the Fajan's rule, my dear students, E plus 5 has more polarizing power, so it polars the halide ions more than it was more than, so E plus 5 polarized more than E plus 3, and thus E plus 5 become more covalent than EX3, and then we can say that EX5 are more covalent than EX3. According to the, among the trihalides, my dear students, the size of nitrogen is very small. So you can see that this is the size of nitrogen. And if you try to, if you try to arrange, suppose if you try to arrange three different halides which are big in size, now it is not possible to arrange the third one. But if you try to arrange the smaller one, they can be arranged three. This is what it happens in the case of the fluorine, my dear students. So this nitrogen being smaller in size, it can produce NF3. But the bigger size chloride or bromide or iodide are not possible in case of nitrogen. So among the trihalides, the size of nitrogen is very small. To accommodate three big halogen atom or three big halogen halides, ions around it is not possible. Thus, nitrogen can accommodate three fluoride ions around it, but cannot accommodate 3 Cl or 3 Br or 3 I. Thus, what happens, my dear students? NF3 is possible or NF3 is known, but NCl3, NBr3 or Ni3 are not possible and are not known or not known to exist. So please remember, among all the trihalides, nitrogen can have nitrogen can have nitrogen trifluorides, but nitrogen cannot have nitrogen trichloride, nitrogen tribromide, or nitrogen triiodide. Please remember, dear students, that nitrogen cannot have this kind of halides. So all the other elements other than the nitrogen, they forms the trihalides, my dear students. So all the other trihalides of phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, and bismuth are stable. Only BF3, all the other halides of these elements are stable. Now this is even very important point, that only BiF3 is ionic in nature. Please remember that BiF3 formed by bismuth is ionic in nature, but all the other trihalides of bismuth are covalent in nature. So bismuth being metal, it forms one ionic trihalide, which is BiF3. All the others are covalent in nature, even for the bismuth. So please remember, my dear students, now we want to study about the reactivity towards metal. How do these elements react with the metals? Let us see and understand. All these elements react with metals to form their binary compounds exhibiting -3 oxidation state. Let us study them with the example. For example, if we look into, my dear students, we would come to know that calcium forms the various calcium forms calcium nitride, calcium phosphide, sodium forms sodium arsenide, zinc forms zinc antimonide, magnesium forms magnesium bismuthide. So you can see that Bi also make -3 oxidation state into the bismuthide kind of compounds. Now we have a question to study. Let us answer this question. Though nitrogen exhibit +5 oxidation state, it does not form pentahalide. What is the reason? Just have a look to the electronic configuration of nitrogen, that is 7n14. So there are 7 electrons, 2 into the helium, 2 into the 2s and 3 into the 2p. So helium 2s2, 2p3. You can see that there are 5 electrons available that can be removed. So as this 5 electron can be removed, +5 oxidation state is possible. But we know that, my dear students, 2D is not possible. So 2D is not available. That means there are only 4 orbitals available for covalence. There are only 4 orbitals available. One is from 2s and 3 from 2p. Thus, my dear students, nitrogen with n is equal to 2 has 2s and 2p orbitals only. Does not have d orbital to expand its octet or expand its covalence beyond 4. That is why nitrogen does not form pentahalide, which is known as NCl5. So due to the non-availability of the vacant d orbital in n is equal to 2 or 2d is not possible, nitrogen cannot form the pentahalides. That is what we have already seen. Next question. pH3 has lower boiling point than NH3. Why? That also we have seen. Let us read it once again. Unlike NH3, pH3 molecules are not associated through hydrogen bonding. So in pH3, hydrogen bonding is not possible, my dear students, in liquid state. And that is why the boiling point of pH3 is lower than the ammonia, because ammonia has got the hydrogen bonding. So this is how, my dear students, we have completed looking the various chemical properties of group 15 elements. Group 15 elements, we have studied their chemical reactivities. If you have any doubts in all that, you can ask me your doubts. बच्चों अगर कुछ आपको समझ में नहीं आया है ये
No
पूरे
doubt, sir.
discussion में, तो आप लोग पूछ सकते हैं, or else we can move forward.
No doubts.
Wonderful, wonderful. सबको अगर सब बोले तो I feel happy, मुझे अच्छा लगेगा. If you can, all you can answer this way. Have you got any doubt?
No doubt.
No
No
doubt.
doubt.
Thank you, my dear students. It's wonderful to hear that. Now let's study about the dinitrogen. Dinitrogen is your N2 molecule. So let us study about dinitrogen. First, we will study about the preparation of dinitrogen. Let's study about the preparation. Let us have a look. Dinitrogen is commercially produced by the liquefaction of air. So first air is liquefied, my dear students, and then after liquefaction, what happens? We do the distillation process. So after liquefaction, my dear students, we simply do the distillation, and due to distillation, we can have this dinitrogen produced. Let's have a look to it. Dinitrogen is commercially produced by the liquefaction of air followed by the fractional distillation of air. Liquid nitrogen, which is having boiling point 77.2 Kelvin, distills out first, leaving behind the liquid oxygen that is having the boiling point of 90 Kelvin. So in the laboratory, dinitrogen, now let us study about the laboratory preparation. This is what it was also explained into the 9th standard. If you go and look into the 9th standard textbook, you will find that this process has been explained very nicely into the 9th standard textbook, 9th standard science textbook. In the laboratory, dinitrogen is prepared by treating an aqueous solution of ammonium chloride with sodium nitrite. So you can see that here you can prepare the nitrogen gas, dinitrogen. When ammonium chloride reacts with sodium nitrite, we get dinitrogen, water, and sodium chloride NaCl. Small amount of NO and HNO3 are also formed in these reactions. So please remember that when this reaction takes place, we can have small amount of impurities present. These impurities are also present with nitrogen. They are nitric oxide Na and nitric acid HNO3. So we need to remove these impurities, and for that we must have some process. Impurities of NO and HNO3 are present along with the nitrogen, that is removed by passing the nitrogen gas through aqueous sulfuric acid. So when we pass the nitrogen, this nitrogen gas having the impurities through sulfuric acid solutions, these impurities can be removed, and we can this sulfuric acid, we should pass them through the sulfuric acid which contain the potassium dichromate. Then this impurities of NO and HNO3 can be removed by passing this gas through the nitric acid, by passing this gas through the sulfuric acid which has potassium dichromate. N2 can also be N2 can also be obtained by the thermal decomposition of the ammonium dichromate. So this is the ammonium dichromate, NH4 Cr2O7. When ammonium dichromate is heated, my dear students, we get nitrogen as well as water and chromium oxide or dichromium trioxide. So this is even one of the process. By the thermal decomposition of ammonium dichromate, we get nitrogen gas produced. Very pure, if you want to find out or if you want to produce pure nitrogen, very pure nitrogen can be obtained by the thermal decomposition of either sodium azide or barium azide. You can see that, my dear students, this is the sodium azide, this is the barium azide, and by decomposition or by heating the sodium azide or barium azide, we can have pure nitrogen. So the nitrogen produced here, my dear students, is in the pure state. Please remember, my dear students, that we will get the pure barium azide. That not required, actually 6, it is 3 only, 3 is correct. So this is how we can prepare barium azide. We can prepare pure nitrogen from the barium azide as well as the sodium azide. Now there are various properties of dinitrogen. So let's look into the various properties of dinitrogen. Dinitrogen is, my dear students, dinitrogen is colorless, tasteless. Please remember that our dinitrogen is colorless and tasteless, odorless, and non-toxic gas. It is not even toxic. We can it is non-toxic gas, and that is why we have studied in 10th standard that to prevent the rancidity, this nitrogen gas is flushed into the packets of into the food packets. Nitrogen atom has 2 stable isotopes. You can see there are 2 stable isotopes I have written for nitrogen. One nitrogen isotope has got the atomic mass number 14, and another nitrogen isotope has got the atomic mass number 15. Dinitrogen has very low solubility in water, which is a 23.2 centimeter cube. You can see centimeter cube is ml. So 23.2 ml in 1 liter of the solution, or in 1 liter of water at 273 Kelvin and 1 bar pressure. So we easily understand that the solubility of nitrogen in water
हेलो कासिम,
is
आपका क्लास है क्या अभी?
quite late. So this, you can see that, my dear students, there is a very low solubility of there is very low solubility of our nitrogen into water. When we move forward, my dear students, and low freezing point and boiling point. So nitrogen has also got very low freezing point and boiling point. That is what we can easily understand. Now we have a next question to study. Why is N2 less reactive at room temperature? Please remember, why is N2 less reactive at room temperature? Let us answer this question. Nitrogen or dinitrogen is rather inert at room temperature. So what is the reason why this dinitrogen is inert at room temperature. Because dinitrogen has high bond enthalpy of atomization, you can see that there are 3 bonds present between two nitrogen, and this bond dissociation enthalpy for nitrogen or bond enthalpy for N2 is 941.4 kilojoule per mole. So please remember that this N2 has got high bond enthalpy. Reactivity of dinitrogen increases with increase in the temperature. So as the temperature increases, my dear students, the reactivity of dinitrogen increases. At higher temperature, dinitrogen directly combines with some of the metals to form predominantly ionic nitrides, and with non-metals covalent nitrides. You can see that when it reacts with the lithium, it forms Li3N, that is nitrogen forms Li3N. When nitrogen reacts with magnesium, it forms Mg3N2, that is magnesium nitride. So as the temperature increases, at high temperature, nitrogen reacts with metals and non-metals to form respectively the ionic as well as the covalent nitrides. Nitrogen combines with hydrogen at about 773 Kelvin in the presence of a catalyst and in the Haber's process to form ammonia. So with the non-metal hydrogen, when nitrogen reacts, it forms the ammonia. You can consider it as a hydride of nitrogen, which is ammonia, and that is what it is going to be covalent in nature. So this ammonia is produced by the process. This process is developed by the scientist Haber, and that is why it is known as the Haber's process. This dinitrogen combines with oxygen only at very high temperature. Please remember, my dear students, that dinitrogen combines with oxygen at very high temperature, that is about 2000 Kelvin temperature, and forms nitric oxide. This is a very simple reaction. Nitrogen N2 reacts with O2, that gives 2NO gas. So, but this is what it requires the temperatures approximately more than 2000 Kelvin. So in air, these both nitrogen and oxygen are present, but they do not react. So as the nitrogen has got very high bond dissociation enthalpy, this nitrogen is almost inert at room temperature, and that is why almost 78% of nitrogen, my dear students, is there present in the air, and it remains or it behaves like an inert gas. Let us study the various uses of nitrogen. The main use of dinitrogen is in the manufacture of ammonia. Nitrogen is also used in the preparation of other industrial chemicals such as chemical cyanamide. So this chemical cyanamide is used or it is prepared by using this dinitrogen gas. Let's move forward. Dinitrogen is also used to create inert atmosphere. Example, in iron and steel industry, during the iron and steel industry, if newly produced iron is kept into the atmosphere of nitrogen so that it does not produce any kind of oxide or any other compound, this nitrogen is used as inert diluent for the reactive chemicals also. So sometime when inert atmosphere is needed or inert environment has to be produced, this dinitrogen is used to produce inert atmosphere, or it is used as an inert diluent. Liquid dinitrogen is used as a refrigerant to preserve the biological material such as food items. So it is also used in the refrigerators, or it was used into the refrigerators. It is used as a refrigerant. Dinitrogen is used in the cryosurgery. Now, what is cryosurgery, my dear students? It is important to study about. Cryosurgery is a kind of surgery which is done at very low temperature. So you know that under our teeth, my dear students, we have gums. These gums are like jelly. So to cut this gum is very difficult. Now what happens around this gum, my dear students, this liquid dinitrogen is poured. As this liquid dinitrogen is poured, these gums of our mouth, they become very solid, and that is how the operation that has to be done into the gums or surgery of gums is possible. So, and this kind of surgery where the surgery is done at very low temperature, these kind of surgeries are known as the cryosurgery or cryoscopic surgeries. And in that case, this dinitrogen is used as to solidify the jelly kind of structures in our body. So you can see that dinitrogen is used in the cryosurgery. That is the surgery of gum where liquid dinitrogen is used to solidify the gums. So this is how, my dear students, we can study about dinitrogen. Now let us study about the ammonia, dear students. The ammonia is, we can say that the non-metallic hydride of nitrogen. So the formula for ammonia is NH3. Let us see how we can prepare ammonia. We have just seen that ammonia is prepared. Ammonia is present in the small quantity in air and soils where it is formed by the decay of nitrogenous organic matter like urea. So ammonia can be easily prepared by urea. You can see this is the formula of urea, NH2CONH2. Urea, when it reacts with water, it produces ammonium carbonate, and this ammonium carbonate decomposes to give you ammonia, water and carbon dioxide. So this ammonia that has already present into the soil, or it is present into the air, and this is how we can easily produce ammonia. On a small scale, ammonia is obtained from the ammonium salt, which decomposes when treated with the caustic soda or calcium hydroxide. So this is how you can see that this is ammonium chloride, which reacts with calcium hydroxide. They produce ammonia, water and calcium chloride. Ammonium sulfate, when it reacts with the sodium hydroxide, it produces ammonia, water and sodium sulfate. So this is how the reactions of the alkalis with the ammonium salt produces ammonia. Please remember that reaction with the alkali, that means in the basic medium, the ammonium salt decomposes or ammonium salt reacts and produces ammonia. Please remember, alkali provides the basic medium. On a large scale, ammonia is produced or manufactured by the Haber's process. So let us understand how ammonia is produced by the Haber's process, my dear students. Ammonia and nitrogen reacts with hydrogen to produce ammonia. For this reaction, the enthalpy of formation of ammonia is minus 46.1 kilojoule per mole. That means during this process, my dear students, the heat is actually required. In accordance with the Le Chatelier's principle, high pressure would be favorable in the formation of ammonia. Why high pressure is favorable? Let us understand. Here if you look into the delta N gas, my dear students, here if you look into the delta N gas, that is Np minus Nr. So gaseous molecules in the product is 2, gaseous molecules in the reactant is equal to 1 plus 3, my dear students. So it is 2 minus 4, that is minus 2. So our delta N gas is minus 2, and thus, we need a higher pressure so that the more product can be formed. So delta N gas, if it is having the negative value, to do the forward reactions, we need higher pressure. This higher pressure will lead to the small number of moles, and thus we can have the better yield of ammonia. So according to the Le Chatelier principle, high pressure would be favored. Then the optimum condition for the production of ammonia, this is a very important question, my dear students, that the reaction is done at the pressure of 200 into 10 to the power 5 Pascal, or we can say